Hey, what's up, y'all? Welcome back to another video, man. Glad to have you here back at Mastering the Faith. If you found this channel through my main channel, Mastering the Man, go ahead and join the family over here at Mastering the Faith. This is where I'll be posting majority, mainly, mostly, probably all of my faith-based content, mindset content, as we continue to let God push us to where we want to be. This is day 10. I'm so excited. We're almost halfway through. I may even give 2 videos today, but this is day 10 of trusting God's plan and awaiting, and we are watching as God does something amazing in Joseph's life, and we are asking that over this next 22 days, well, 11 more days, that God does something amazing in both of our lives as we continue to seek Him through content that we digest, through the things that we're reading, through devotion, and through our group chat. Oh wait, you don't know about the group chat? Hit this link in the description, join the Bible app, get in on the group chat discussions as we talk about this Bible plan in depth. You can only get that type of information there because I just don't want to make the videos too long. But today is day 10. Let's get straight into it. So the plan for today is called Promoted. All right, and let's get straight into it. It says, previously in Joseph's story, he was brought before Pharaoh to interpret some dreams. I cannot do it, Joseph replied to Pharaoh, but God will give Pharaoh the answer he desires. You gotta love Joseph's boldness. He knows this guy has the authority to hang him, just like he did the baker. However, Joseph puts his ultimate trust in God. In a land of many little false gods, Joseph points Pharaoh to the one true God who can provide the interpretation of his dreams. Take a minute to think about all the wise guys and magicians in Pharaoh's court. They heard the description of the dreams. Is it possible that they were afraid to tell Pharaoh some bad news of the upcoming famine? After all, if he didn't like what they had to say, it could be off with their heads. God elevated Joseph to the presence of Pharaoh for such a time as this. Joseph was a man of integrity, truth, so he was going to tell the truth even if it wasn't great news. The reason the dream was given to Pharaoh in 2 forms is that the matter has been firmly decided by God, and God will do it soon. Prepared in the waiting by learning of the business of the administration, Joseph lays out some recommendations to Pharaoh on how to handle the upcoming famine. His God-given gift was about to be utilized. Even Pharaoh sees God's wisdom in the plan. Pharaoh says, since God has made all this known to you, there is no one so discerning and as wise as you. You shall be in charge of my palace, and all the people are to submit to your orders. Only with respect to the throne will I be greater than you. Now we see this slave boy and prisoner get a new robe, one of honor and prestige. He surpassed his boss Potiphar, the prison warden, and his buddy and the cupbearer to become the second most powerful person in Egypt. This has all happened in one day. Talk about zero to hero or pit to palace. Joseph rides in a royal chariot to a land of which he had known to be in charge. He also gets a new Egyptian name of Zaphanath, I think. Don't, please do not kill me, but just help me understand the name. Zaphanath Paneah and the Egyptian wife. On the surface, it seems Joseph is beginning to have everything he could want in life, but as we'll soon see, brotherly betrayal has left a nasty soul wound that still needs to be healed. The questions for today are, how have you handled telling someone the truth when you know it will be hard to accept? Do you tell people what they want to hear or the truth? When given the chance via work, home, school, or with those you meet, do you take credit or give God the glory? Have you ever gotten what you wanted to later not feel fulfilled? Why do you think that was? Okay, so let's get straight into the questions for today because the Bible verse portion is rather lengthy, so I want to make sure that we have time for that. How have you handled telling someone the truth when you know it will be hard to accept? Do you tell people what they want to hear or do you tell them the truth? And honestly, I've gotten better at not just telling people what they want to hear. Even in my marriage, where it's still new, it's still, I don't want to say fragile, but it's still new. Things are still offendable, I'll say, in my marriage. And so I have made it I have made it a point to not just say things that are nice to hear. My wife and I, we're building a foundation on truth and honesty, and in doing that, you may say things that the person might not want to hear, but we both know that we're saying it in love and we're saying it in a way that was going to push us both forward so that we can digest it a little bit more easier. But it still gets, still some things that you hear, you're like, you get offended by them a little bit, but I think it's important to say the truth because then people will respect your opinion a lot more versus they know that you're just going to tell them what they want to hear, because that's not always the best way to go about things either. When given the chance via work, home, school, or with those you meet, do you take credit or give God the glory? I have been a big, it wasn't me, it wasn't God. Even when people tell me, hey man, I really needed to hear that today, and I say, well, from God's, that was from God, not from me. He just used me. And I pray that often for God to use me as a vessel, even with my content. God, use me as a vessel for people who watch my videos, that they can see my growth in you, my love for you, but see that your light is shining through me and welcoming people back home. Because sometimes you just need that one person that shows you that trusting God isn't what the world says it is, and believing in God and having faith, it's doable. And I want to be that resource for people and just show them, hey y'all, it's doable if you just trust God with all your heart. He can do amazing things in your life. So I give God the glory in everything I do. Have you ever gotten what you wanted to later not feel fulfilled? And what do you think? Why do you think that was? I think that we have humanly wants, right? And we have things that we want, but sometimes those things that we want aren't necessarily what God has intended for us. So when you find out later on that you're not fulfilled by succeeding in this or gaining this, it's because that you should have been fulfilled in serving God. And that's the only true fulfillment that we're really going to have, is knowing that our purpose is aligned with what God's will is for our lives. And once you start obtaining things as you continue to grow as a person, you'll notice that you just want to honor God with the things that you've been given, and you want to be fruitful and multiply them into His people. So that's my personal opinion, but let me know what you guys think in the comments, or like I said, join a group discussion so we can talk about it a little bit more. Genesis 41, we're going from verse 15, I think, through 35. So let's get straight into it. It's all about the story that we just read. And it says, Then Pharaoh said to Joseph, I had a dream last night, and no one here can tell me what it means. But I have heard what you hear about dreams, and you can interpret it. It is beyond my power to do this, Joseph replied. But God can tell you what it means and set you at ease. So Pharaoh told Joseph this dream. In my dream, he said, I was standing on the bank of the Nile River, and I saw 7 fat, healthy cows come up out of the river and begin grazing in the marsh grass. But then I saw 7 sick-looking cows, scrawny and thin, come up after them. I've never seen such a sorry-looking animal in all the land of Egypt. These thin, scrawny cows ate the 7 fat cows, but afterwards you wouldn't have known it, for they were still as thin and scrawny as before. Then I woke up. In my dream, I also saw 7 heads of grain, full and beautiful, growing on a single stalk. Then 7 more heads of grain appeared, but these were blighted, shriveled, and withered by the east wind. And the shriveled heads swallowed the 7 healthy heads. I told these dreams to the magicians, but no one could tell me what they mean. Joseph responded, Both of the Pharaoh's dreams and mean the same thing. God is telling Pharaoh in advance that he is about to do. The 7 healthy cows and the 7 healthy heads of grain both represent 7 years of prosperity. The 7 thin, scrawny cows that came up later and the 7 thin heads of grain withered by the east wind represent 7 years of famine. This will happen just as I have described it. For God has revealed to Pharaoh in advance what he is about to do. The next 7 years will be a period of great prosperity throughout the land of Egypt. But afterwards there will be 7 years of famine, so great that all the prosperity will be forgotten in Egypt. Famine will destroy the land. The famine will be so severe that even the memory of the good years will be erased. As for having 2 similar dreams, it means by these events that have been decreed by God, and he will soon make them happen. Therefore Pharaoh should find an intelligent and wise man to put him in charge of the entire land of Egypt. Then Pharaoh should appoint supervisors over the land and let them collect 1/5 of all the crops during the 7 good years. Have them gather all the food produced in the good years that are just ahead of it and bring it to the Pharaoh's storehouse. Store it away and guard it so there will be food in the cities. That way there will be enough to eat when the 7 years of famine come to the land of Egypt. Otherwise the famine will destroy the land. Joseph's suggestions were well received by Pharaoh and his officials. So Pharaoh asked his officials, Can we find anyone else like this man so obviously filled with the Spirit of God? Then Pharaoh said to Joseph, Since God has revealed the meaning of the dreams to you, clearly no one else is intelligent or as wise as you are. You will be in charge of my court, and all the people will take orders from you. Only I sitting on the throne will have a rank higher than yours. Pharaoh said to Joseph, I hereby put you in charge of the entire land of Egypt. Then Pharaoh removed his signet ring from his hand and placed it on Joseph's finger. He dressed him in fine linen clothing and hung a gold chain around his neck. Then he had Joseph ride in a chariot reserved for his second in command. And wherever Joseph went, the command was shouted, Kneel down. So Pharaoh put Joseph in charge of all of Egypt. And Pharaoh said to him, I am Pharaoh, but no one will lift a hand or foot in the entire land of Egypt without your approval. Then Pharaoh gave Joseph a new Egyptian name, Zaphenath-Paneah, and also gave him a wife whose name was Asenath. She was the daughter of Potiphera, the priest of On. So Joseph took charge of the entire land of Egypt. And that's it for today, y'all. Day 10. Can't wait to see you guys tomorrow on day 11. Like I said, if you got this far to the channel, I appreciate you watching this video. And I pray that God does something amazing for you as you continue to just seek him and watch these videos and learn about what he's done in Joseph's life. And maybe you're in a period of waiting as well. And I hope that God just gives you a sign that your wait won't be in vain. And hit that subscribe button. Join us over here at Mastering the Faith again. Go check out my other channel, Mastering the Man, which is a hub of just different type of content centered around fashion, faith, finance, and fitness. Also just daily vlogs on how I'm living, just showing you a glimpse into my life as I continue to let God use me in the way that he wants. And I'll see you guys tomorrow, day 11. God bless you. Love you. Keep mastering. See you.